Hi, my name is Micah Akulian. I'm a holistic and spiritual counselor, and this video is going to be about special abilities that a person develops after having a Kundalini awakening. And of course, this is going to vary for everybody. It's going to be different for everybody. But these are the kinds of experiences that I had following my Kundalini awakening. And you can find a link to the video I made about my awakening that happened about 10 years ago. Find that link down in the description. So the counseling that I offer, you can also find the website for that down in the description. And it was a pretty profound awakening experience. I went through a lot of changes in my life, in my energy field, and the title of this video, Special Abilities, is kind of misleading because they're abilities that everybody has and can cultivate more of. It's really just a matter of sensitivity. So the idea is that we're all connected, we're all one consciousness, and the energy that we're experiencing is an energy that's being shared between all forms of life. It's mental energy, it's emotional energy, it's physical energy, and there's many, many layers to our energy body, and I don't claim to understand it all, but I do know the feeling that I've had since going through the awakening, which is an increased sensitivity in thoughts and feelings. So what happened right after within a few months of going through that awakening is I started to notice that just by spending time with certain people, it would affect my energy field in a way that I wasn't aware of before. Looking back on my life, I see that having spent time with certain people, having friends for long periods of time, in periods of my life, that I synced up to them, and they were probably syncing up to me to some degree. And there was some maybe codependency that happened, or there's this process of like kind of losing yourself in the connection, and which is not a bad thing because you're learning about life and yourself through having that experience with that person. But as I went through the awakening and started to gain such a sensitivity and awareness of that process happening, it became very uncomfortable to sync up energetically with other people, particularly when it was happening unconsciously. It was nice when it was happening, when it was just joy and love and light that we were sharing. But the reality is that people are, constantly swinging in and out of fearful states and joyful states, and they're negative and they're anxious and then they're happy, and it's like this roller coaster ride. And anyone who's on the spiritual journey is trying to gain some level of mastery through self-awareness over that process, so that we're not just haphazardly creating random thoughts and random feelings, that we're aware and we're conscious of what we're creating. And so the Kundalini experience was incredible in that sense, that it opened me up and made me more sensitive to what I was creating in my own mind and emotions, and then also what other people were creating. And the way that unfolded was literally like just getting little thoughts that I had started to get a sense were not mine, and then I would test it out. So I remember an example. I walked into a room and suddenly this song popped into my head, and I started singing it. And my friend said, "Why did you start singing that song?" And I said, "I don't know, it just popped into my head." And my friend had been singing that song right before I walked into the room, and I hadn't heard him singing the song, but so I started noticing little things like that, and I'd have distinct images that would come up. I'd be sitting next to somebody, and it did seem like the closer I was in proximity to them, then the more that I would be able to pick up those thoughts and images. So I just kept paying attention and like noticing how noticing the quality, the difference in quality between my own thoughts and someone else's thoughts. And it's just a feeling, like you get this feeling like that doesn't belong to me, that's not mine, that didn't come from me. And sometimes it's confusing because it actually is, and you're creating some story, especially if it's like a negative kind of ego-based thought. You don't want to take responsibility for it, and you're like, oh, I'm sure it's that other person's negative energy that I'm picking up. And that happens in like the New Age community quite a bit. So it does take some discernment and some honesty to be really honest with yourself about what you're picking up from other people. But that special ability, again, not special at all, it's an ability that we all have, but it's an increased sensitivity to the constant energy flow between all beings of life. and you can feel it when you tune into it, mentally and emotionally, and probably more so emotionally for me. I became very, very empathic, so I would just start feeling things so strongly. Again, sitting next to somebody, or even just by thinking about somebody, thinking about a family member or a friend or an ex-partner, and having a lot of emotion come up, which some of it was mine, but there'd be other times where it would just come out of the blue, just feeling this intense emotional energy. And then within 24 hours, maybe getting an email from that person saying that they're been reflecting on, I'm thinking of a past partner, been reflecting on the relationship and the challenges, and and I'm thinking, yeah, I know, because I felt it before he sent this email. And it also happens with clients too. I have many clients who I have maybe like a deeper energetic connection to, and so I'll feel them maybe thinking about me, or thinking about the work that we're doing. And usually I feel them, I know when they're going to reach out to me to schedule a session, because I'll feel their energy in my field. Within like 24 to 48 hours after I have that feeling, I'm anticipating hearing from them. So it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing, and it's challenging. Like, it's been the last 10 years since this Kundalini awakening has been like trial by fire, to understand how to manage that. Because if you don't have if you're not focused, and you don't have clear boundaries, and you don't have an awareness of what it is that you want to create, you're going to be just naturally picking up so much stuff from around you. So it's, your level of distractibility is gonna cause you to just absorb and receive so much information. So meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, qigong, anything that you can do to strengthen your own energy field, and then also focus your energy, focus your attention. All really wonderful tools for managing your energy, and for managing those gifts, empathy and clairvoyance. And if you want to develop those gifts, it's as simple as meditating on your own energy field, and then paying a really close attention to how your energy field shifts when you're around other people. Pay really close attention to your thoughts, mindful awareness practices. So you're watching your thoughts all day long, and you're noticing how they shift depending on what environments you're in, what people you're around. And it's more than just people, it's environment. So if you walk into like a office building, there's a collective energy there of all the people that have been in that space and have been putting out these same kinds of thoughts and same kinds of feelings. And you walk in there and you kind of feel it. And it kind of feels like these waves of energy that just pass through you, giving you information about the kinds of experiences that have taken place in that environment. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's amazing. It's like you can feel your connection to all of life through the energy body, through your emotions and your mind. But the challenge is having discernment and having focus and clear intentions about what you want to consciously create. And so the Kundalini experience, it like opens up these, maybe I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but anyone that's watching this video probably has a sense of what the Kundalini experience is. It's like your energy field is opening and expanding, and channels of information are being opened up within your energy field. And there's the whole idea of people going crazy from that experience, because it's so much information coming to you, and you have to be somewhat of a clear vessel. If you have a clear container, if you have a lot of emotional baggage that you're still holding on to, you have really rigid belief systems about yourself and the way life is, then it's not going to fit into your model of life, and it's going to be really confusing and scary. And that's kind of, I think, what creates the experience of the insanity phenomenon around the Kundalini awakening, is that your psyche isn't ready to integrate that experience. It's still resisting, it's still holding on, there's a lot of rigidity, and so it just creates this fragmentation when you're trying to integrate the new experience. But the practices of mindful awareness, meditation, surrender, relaxation, acceptance, all of those spiritual principles that allow you to just let go and get in the flow of life, help the mind to relax and trust the process. And that's basically what happened to me over the last 10 years. And it's amazing that it took me 10 years to make a video about this, which I made the first video last year. And I didn't realize it until I made that video that I hadn't been ready to actually share any of this, because I was still learning. 10 years later, I was still learning. And just the last year, something kind of shifted where I felt like the learning process had kind of crystallized or come to completion in a sense. And now I was ready to actually share what I had learned. So I'm glad that I trusted my intuition and didn't try and share before that time. Anyway, if you have any questions or you want to share your experience of the Kundalini, I offer guidance for that process, and I also offer just general counseling, spiritual and holistic counseling. Website's in the description, and I offer a sliding scale. So thank you for listening, and I hope this was helpful in some way. All right, blessings.